Segment. We want to talk about fall bass fishing. I put on a jig and threw it on the water, and look what I got here. What do you think there, Bob? Not a bad-looking fish, huh?
Not too bad for the first cast.
You got a landing for me here?
Let me get him up here.
I couldn't believe it. We were just practicing. I was just throwing it out there. We were just kind of talking, and he said,
"That's not too bad for the."
That's not a bad looking.
I know.
What do you think that goes?
Oh, that's about a 14, 15
Yeah,
inch.
nice one.
Smallmouth. We're using a good bait for this
Yep,
time
using
here,
a jig.
too.
Go ahead, put him back in that water.
Yeah, we'll turn him back and let him grow up a little bit.
All right.
There he goes.
Well, let's continue here.
Great. Now I'll get my lure. And
Talking with Bob Knopf from the Berkeley Line Company, and we want to talk about fall bass fishing and the difference between fall bass fishing and summer bass fishing. Give us some tips here.
Well, when they go out there in the summer, the bass are generally deep, and so they're kind of hard to catch at. And if you look at what we got on our lines, it probably will show us about the most. Which you caught your bass. Since you caught the fish, we'll talk about what you got on. But we've got a jig here, and this is a garland jig, which is there's a lead head right inside here.
There's some weight there.
And it's about a 1/4 ounce jig, and we've put a rubber body on it with a skirt. And this is one technique that works real well in the fall, and you throw it out and you work it along the bottom like you were doing. Particularly working the drop-offs and the outer weed edges is the best place.
Right.
This is a kind of a slow presentation. As the water gets a little bit colder, you can put a minnow on this. And then that'll take you clean into November or even December for fishing.
Okay, well, how before you get into your bait, how are bass different? I want to throw this out a couple more times. I want to try to get another bass.
Well,
how are fall bass different than summer bass?
The water's starting to get colder, and so the bass are moving from the deep water areas, and they're kind of concentrating on the weed edges and on the drop-offs. And so what you have to do is you have to work your bait along the weeds, the drop-offs, especially the steep drop-offs. Now these smallmouth that you caught here, they're in here on the drop-off, and they're in the rocky area.
Right.
So if a person wants to catch smallmouth or some other sort of bass, then they want to look for the steep drop-offs where it goes right down, where it's a little bit rocky, or if they don't have that in the lake that they fish, they want to fish on the outer edge of the weed. And if you use, like, if they start out today, it works real good to put on something like I've got a crankbait on. Here. And what this is kind of a fast retrieve. And if the fish are active, they can throw this out and reel it in quick. And if they're active, they'll catch a bunch of fish on it. If this doesn't work, I normally start out with this. And if this didn't work, then I'd put on the jig that you're using, and I'd give that a try.